Lions just recovered a fumble.
Bits of Wis-Tim.
It's Harry Houdini, I'm pretty sure.
That's when it kind of becomes Home Improvement After Dark.
I guess that leaves us at the question of the week.
Very good. I don't know if you noticed, Jordan, but a really cool aerial shot of the table. Reasonably funny.
User review.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Home Impodcast time.
That's right, a company that goes trick-or-treating with Binford Tools is proud to present a home improvement podcast. My name is Adam, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jordan. Jordan, let's get spooky.
Ooh. Pretty good, right?
Pretty scary.
Trick-or-treating.
It is Halloween in January here on Home Impodcast.
That's right. It's always time for candy.
Yeah, is this our second Halloween ep? Or did we not have one?
Well, the first season we talked about, there was that Inagata Devita episode, Flying Sauces.
Flying Sauces, yeah. Which is...
It wasn't really Halloween, but it was kind of.
There was some frights in there, definitely, but yeah, not a true Halloween episode. But here we get our first of, I suspect, quite a few Halloween episodes. I feel like when I think back, I can remember quite a few strong ones, but we're not going to talk about that quite yet, are we, Jordan?
No. We, as our audience knows, we're movie buffs. Although it seems like every time Adam brings up a movie, I might not know what it is or have seen it. I have seen some movies, and especially recently.
Yeah, you've seen some. We've both seen some movies lately. And if I know people, it's very interesting for others to hear about the movies that they have not seen.
They have to live vicariously through us.
Sure. So, Jordan, what do you seen lately?
A couple different ones. So I think it was 2 Fridays ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe it was last week.
Friday after next?
Friday, yeah. It's the next Friday movie starring Ice Cube and Chris Tucker. Yeah. I saw La La Land with my wife, and then I think maybe a week.
Did you like it?
Did I like it? I actually loved it.
You loved it?
I thought it was very good. I thought, I don't know.
Don't spoil anything.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but it reminded me of a lot of different things that I like about older movies that I watch now. So
I enjoyed it as well. It is a throwback to, I would say
yesteryear.
Yesteryear. There's been kind of people loved it at first, and then, as is the case, like when anything becomes popular, people start to kind of try to poke holes in it, especially people online trying to kind of have contrarian opinions and get page views and such. So people are now saying it's not like a true musical because there's not enough music, or that it doesn't really represent what jazz is actually like. But you know what? I don't really care what jazz is actually like. So I just want to watch a good movie. And I really we saw that on New Year's Eve, and I found it. It also kind of maybe subverts some things that you might expect that are going to happen, and I won't say much more than that. But I found it to be a real delight.
Yeah, there's not very many movies that I feel like I would pay twice to go see in the theaters, and I thought that would probably be one of them. Like, you wouldn't have to twist my arm too much to go back to the theater to see that. But I also saw Star Wars Rogue One, and I enjoyed that actually more than The Force Awakens. I thought that was
is that a I mean, I've never, and this is, people are always disappointed, but I've never seen a Star Wars movie, with the exception of, one of the like ones that came out in like the early 2000s. I saw with like
Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, like Liam Neeson was in it or whatever, and I thought it was pretty boring. So
I
know that doesn't represent what the
actually you saw the worst one.
I'm sure.
That's the one that it's like universally hated.
It's not that I reject them. I didn't grow up with it, and I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna get to it, but I haven't done it quite yet. It's an odd blind spot for someone that loves movies as much as I do. But is that a popular opinion that Rogue One is better than The Force Awakens, or not necessarily?
I haven't talked to too many people about it, but the couple of people that I did, they did agree. They thought the story was a bit tighter, and I don't know, it made more sense, and they liked it better, and I did too. So I can't say that I've heard from the masses or did any Twitter polls as we usually do.
You've not heard from the masses?
No, not yet, not yet. And I haven't looked up too many like reviews to see, what critics are saying or blogs or whatever. But I did enjoy it.
I think it's been pretty well received. It seems like. I mean, from what I can tell.
Yeah, there were a couple things at the start where it looked like they almost added some stuff in, or it didn't quite make as much sense as the rest of the movie. But after about 10 minutes in, it was pretty stellar.
All right, good deal. And then last evening, in fact, I saw Hidden Figures, which I want to see that. It's really, really good. I went in with pretty low expectations. We just wanted to go out and see a movie on a weeknight, as we try to do every so often. And, I knew it had a good Rotten Tomato score, and I knew people had liked it. But, yeah, it was a real feel-good story, which,
America needs feel-good right now.
I would say so, without going too much further. Yeah, I agree with you. It's nice to see a movie where, there's a happy ending, and people overcome obstacles, and it was well made, and it was funny. And, I can't recommend it enough. In some ways, I enjoyed it even more than La La Land, and I loved La La Land, so that's high
praise.
It's high praise, but I genuinely mean it. So, and I'm looking forward in the coming weeks. I want to see The Founder with Michael Keaton, where he is setting up McDonald's. I think that looks like a good one. So I got my sights set on that.
Hey, that's a good one to set your sights on. So I guess with your endorsement, I will now go see Hidden Figures.
Yeah, go see Hidden Figures, but don't go see Hidden Fences, because that is a mistake that does not go over well, and rightfully so. With that in mind, Jordan, could you maybe go ahead and cue maybe some spooky Halloween grunts, or just regular grunts?
Just regular grunts.
Okay. Sure, it's all safe to me. Oh no.
Now it's time for Bits of Wis-Tim.
This week's Bit of Wisdom comes from Dracula, in the chapter entitled Chapter 9. Then I read the entertainment section and try to figure out who these people are who get quoted in the full-page movie ads. Take a look at the quotes. Funniest this summer, I laughed till I cried, and that was Schindler's List. Ooh. How'd that work? Was that good?
It was really good.
All right.
We had to pull a lot of strings to get Dracula.
Yeah, Dracula. I want to thank Dracula for sending the Transylvania email. Is generally like pretty laggy and slow.
Yeah, spotty at best.
He got that in just in time. And Dracula should also. He's going to come back and go ahead and say, "This has been your Bit of Wisdom."
Thank goodness. Thank goodness he sent that one in right at the end there. Wow.
Dracula and Tim making kind of bizarre Schindler's List jokes.
I would come to expect nothing less, though.
It's more apropos for Dracula. He's he kills people than Tim. But hey, you take the last where you can get them. Right. We are winding it down with the "I'm not really here" text, and I think on Periscope I'm gonna do a live stream of me burning the text because
and you got to watch that within 24 hours. So
is that how Periscope works?
I think so. It's a short moment that you can kind of watch for 24 hours, and then that's gone.
Hey, I'll take your word for it. Jordan, speaking of your word, could you tell everyone what we're covering this week?
Yeah, I could. Episode 30, Haunting of a Taylor House. Ooh. It says that at the end of the episode details. So.
Spooky. At the end of the episode, there's something that I want to talk about, and I don't know if you noticed it or not, but I'm looking forward to getting to it. So.
I think I already know what you're talking about. But yes, this episode was written by Susan Estelle Jansen, aired October 28th, 1992. Do you have plot keywords for this?
Matter of fact, I do, Jordan. Plot keywords this week include Halloween, Halloween party, basement.
I thought they were only one-word things.
I thought that too. It must be the rules have changed. In fact, they're more. All right, so there's Halloween, Halloween party, basement, toolbox, old woman costume. Mm-hmm. So there's like to 3 words. Jordan, can you think of another film where a basement plays a prominent role?
Not off the top of my head, I guess.
Basement.
What are you thinking?
Oh, basement.
You just asked it without actually having an answer?
I have one now, but I didn't have an answer first. The horror movie Don't Breathe I watched relatively recently. and that is like where there's a blind. They break into the house of like a blind guy, but he's like kind of I guess he's kind of a bad, and he ends up luring them down to the basement, and there's a whole mix of things down there, spooky things as well. So it's on brand, but that movie basements play a pretty prominent role.
I was thinking of Arsenic and Old Lace, Cary Grant movie. Of course, everything comes back to Cary Grant. As you so often are. I just watched that probably like, I don't know, a month ago, and the crazy brother who pretends he's Theodore Roosevelt goes down in the basement and digs some locks, and they bury some bodies there. So just
to be clear, Theodore Roosevelt is not actually in the movie. It's just someone that thinks.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. That's confusing.
They couldn't get Teddy.
That sounds confusing. So Susan Estelle Jansen, did you note the release date?
Yeah, October 28th, 1992.
Yeah, so right before Halloween. You got a
surprise
synopsis?
Yeah, I do. Tony Topola at it again. On
back from the dead.
Back from the dead. On Tool Time, Tim is demonstrating how to build a brick wall. Since it's Halloween, he also dresses up as a monster in an attempt to scare Al. Together, they carve jack-o'-lanterns, except that Tim has invented a new method for achieving the same result, with, you guessed it, more power, with predictable results. At home, Tim has turned the basement into a haunted house for Brad's Halloween party. Brad has agreed to dress up as Raggedy Andy because Jennifer is coming in as Raggedy Ann. But Brad is stunned when she comes as a biker chick with another boy, having changed her mind because she claims Brad had been insensitive to her. Also, the impolite Curtis is back. Yeah, Curtis.
Biker chick, huh? That is one reading of that costume. I wasn't necessarily sure. I just put I think I wrote rebel as a costume. I didn't get the biker.
Girl rebel and guy rebel.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily know.
I wrote down rabble-riser.
Yeah, that also works. All right, well, I suppose we should get into it. So, Haunting of a Taylor House. We open with the cold open, expectedly. So, they are on the Tool Time set, and immediately you see a couple of pumpkins, so you know what you're going to get. And they are laying brick, and this cold open is not as funny as it thinks it is. There's a lot of different gags they try here. None of them work. First, there are a couple jokes about Tim. What does Al say about Tim? That Tim is a few bricks shy of a load?
Yes.
Is that...
that's a popular phrase.
Not that popular.
You seem to not know a lot of these phrases.
Not in my world has it been that popular. So they're laying brick, and then Tim, he kind of escapes to go get something, and he has Al go get something, and he kind of runs off set, and he puts on a reasonably scary Halloween mask, and it is his plan to kind of spook Al.
It certainly isn't reasonably funny.
It's not reasonably funny. No, it's more scary than funny, but it thinks it's funny. And he has the gloves on as well. And Al eventually comes back over, and Tim tries to scare him, and he's not scared at all. Tim keeps going with the gag, and he goes up and like shakes the camera and stuff. And the audience really loves it, but this audience member did not love it so much.
I don't even think the audience liked it that much.
Really? No,
I think those were pity laughs.
Yeah, it wasn't. The gag didn't work real well. But then they go for their next big gag, and that is they're getting ready to carve some pumpkins. And Al's pumpkin, he carved a very realistic representation of Bob Vila, which is
behind like in front of a saw blade, I would say.
Yeah, it looks. I mean, I knew it was him without them saying it, so I guess it was good. Yeah. And then Tim does what you expect. He goes for more power, so he has kind of like outlined a jack-o'-lantern, but instead of carving it, he's going to create an explosion and kind of blow the chunks out.
The weird thing to me about this is I feel like he did the hard parts and he made the explosion for the easy part because
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, because he cored the pumpkin, so there's nothing in there. He scored, like you said, the face marks and all that kind of stuff. So like the easy part would be just like to poke out the stuff that he already cut like into. I don't know.
Yeah, he has 5 seconds of work left if he wants to just finish that pumpkin, but instead he wants to create a small explosion.
Naturally.
And Al kind of cowers down because he expects what we so often see. Tim kind of makes a mistake and something explodes. Tim does the explosion, and the pumpkin like guts and innards all explode onto Al's face.
Even a piece ends up in Al's mouth somehow.
Wow, he had his mouth open when he was
just shocked.
His mouth was ajar as it happened, and that's the cold open. And yeah, everything is better after. Like, it all gets better from here. But when I saw this first scene, I thought, oh gosh, this is not. I mean, they are trying really hard to diminishing returns here, but it does get better. And I suppose, we talk about these cold opens in terms of how they set up the episode. This sets up that it's Halloween, so it's effective in that sense. So
yeah, I would agree. So, as you said, cold open is over, so we're going to stop talking about it. Next scene is at home. Jill and Mark are in the kitchen. They're making stuff for Brad's Halloween party. She's got, like, worms and dirt, and we'll see later on she has a few other things that she has up her sleeve. Tim is downstairs in the basement, that aforementioned basement plot keyword. He's downstairs decorating. And comes back upstairs after doing quite a bit. He's wearing a Lion shirt because that's what he does. Maybe I'll just stop mentioning that because it's so disappointing.
I'm telling you, it's every episode. That's why that's why we're not saying.
They should have had that as a plot keyword.
They should, yeah, Lion's shirt. They'd be saying it every episode. But yeah, it's every week somebody is wearing something. But
yeah,
whatever.
So Randy also joins the scene. Randy and Mark decide they want to take a look downstairs, so they take a trip down there. And you hear like some screams from downstairs, and Tim makes a joke about they won't have to deal with the insurance salesman for a while. So
this is where they're keeping the other kid that I mentioned in a poll a few weeks ago. He's just hanging out down there, so it's probably his screams. But
so, yeah, we'll see him later in the episode then, without a head maybe.
Yeah.
So Tim and Jill are upstairs alone. They talk about how horror takes time, and then they spar a little bit about the wedding and the veil, and I don't know. That was fine. They basically go back and forth, putting each other down, saying about the veil and Jill is ugly.
It's all ugly in jest and kind of playful, though.
Yeah. Then they get back over to all the stuff that they're making for this party for Brad, and Brad's not doing any of the work himself. Of course, he's upstairs. He's got to put on his costume, and they talk about grapes and some tapioca pudding for eyeballs with pus. And Brad eventually comes down, and he is not dressed in the best costume we've ever seen. He is dressed as Raggedy Andy.
I mean, it's a good costume. It's just like hella embarrassing, It's just he looks like Raggedy Andy, but I mean, that was he's got
clown feet. I had a
visceral
basically.
reaction when I saw that. Yeah, it was not great.
What's your experience with Raggedy Ann and Raggedy Andy?
Man, I hadn't thought about either one of those two, and like
they're constantly on my mind.
Since it doesn't surprise me. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know anything about them.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, I remember.
Are they? Do they have a television show, or are they?
Well, I remember a cartoon like movie back when I was younger watching it, and I looked that up online, and apparently it was made in like 1977. And it is very creepy, but it's kind of like Toy Story before Toy Story.
Okay.
But yeah, it's terrifying. I like clicked through the movie on YouTube because it was all recorded on there, and there's some very scary scenes that I've probably had nightmares about.
It says here that the character was created in 1915 as a doll, was introduced to the public in 1918 with a book called Raggedy Ann Stories, and then there was a sequel in 1920. So Raggedy Ann has been around for a long time. Scary to me.
Yeah. A little
Scary.
bit.
Yeah, I think so. All right.
Yeah, so Tim also is making fun of Brad here. He's giving him a hard time. He makes a joke that he says, a lot of times men will do things that they don't want to, so women will do things that they don't want to later.
That was funny. Yeah,
it was funny.
I like that bit. Yeah,
there's a lot of small lines.
There's good one-liners.
That I like.
Yeah, there's good one. It's one of the funnier episodes I think we've covered. To be honest, I laughed a lot in this one. I don't think it's one of the best, but I do think I got a lot of laughs out of this. Mm-hmm. At the same time, Jill and Tim are kind of setting up. They're kind of goading each other about who has the scarier Halloween costume. Tim claims he has the scariest one in the Motor City. Jill says she has one on layaway or reserve or something at a Halloween store. I didn't know they did that. It's not a service I'm familiar with. But
well, maybe in the 90s.
She just called and said, put the scariest costume.
Give me your scariest costume.
On layaway. Also noticed that Jill was wearing jeans with holes in the knees, and I thought, Jill, you bad.
She real bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had that. She had like a weird purple jacket on that looked like Pepto-Bismol. It was strange. Strange outfit.
The scene ends with a bat graphic flying at the screen.
Well, and the first scene ends with a pumpkin graphic.
I didn't notice that one, but the bats, those were scary.
Yeah.
We transition outside to the fence, and Tim needs chains from Wilson because, of course, Wilson has chains. Insert creepy joke here, but Wilson just happens to have chains on hand. No big deal.
Yeah, they're just hanging around. And then they talk a little bit about the essence of scaring and why humans like scaring. So I guess we can play a short clip of this.
Wilson, the catacomb of terror is just about complete, but I need your chains.
Mm-hmm. Right inside the garage, good neighbor.
This is going to be great. It's going to be so scary down there. Those kids are going to love this.
Well, I'm sure they will, Tim. I believe it was Winston Churchill who said there's nothing so exhilarating as being shot at and missed.
It's a safe bet it wasn't Lincoln who said that.
Well, everybody loves a good scare, Tim.
Yeah? Why is that?
Well, Tim, it's just a physical reaction. When a person becomes frightened, his body releases large amounts of epinephrine.
I love that song, too. Mm-hmm. Tall and tan and young and lovely, the girl from Epinephrine goes walking.
No. No, Tim, you're talking Ipanema. I'm talking epinephrine.
Oh, yeah, sure you are. Yeah, sure.
Well, let's just say adrenaline. It speeds up the conversion of glycogen into glucose. And glucose supplies energy to the muscles, thus making them more efficient for fight or flight.
I don't care what it does. When Brad's friends see this catacomb of terror, there'll be epinephrine in their pants. After 8 o'clock, once you slide around back, let yourself in the basement.
Oh, I'll be there, Tim.
Oh, I also need that special meat cleaver. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Coming right up, neighbor.
Yeah, so apparently everyone likes a scare, although I don't know that I necessarily like the scare for the reasons that he says. He says basically that everyone gets an adrenaline rush, and Tim makes a mistake about the girl from Ipanema with epinephrine. He makes a couple other epinephrine jokes that I kind of liked. But yeah, that's about it. He also gets a meat cleaver from Wilson, and you mentioned earlier about the chains. He's got a meat cleaver, he's got chains. What else does Wilson have over there?
Wilson's carving a pumpkin of his own face, which kind of, we talked a few weeks ago, or maybe last week, about Wilson's profession, but, that's a very academic, kind of narcissistic thing to do, is to carve an exact replica of your own face. So he probably is a professor. If I know anything about professors and teachers...
This is exactly what you would have done.
I would try. Not nearly as successful, but I'd give it an effort. So next scene, Tim is...
Back inside, right?
Yeah, we're back inside. He's got the cleaver on his head. Randy and Mark, they're going to trick or treat. They're not going to stay at the party. I don't know why. Maybe they're too young or something, but...
They're more worried about candy than parties.
Yeah, but Tim is smart. He wants to inspect the bags before they leave, and in it he finds eggs, soap, and shaving cream. What is the purpose of the soap? I think I know, but I'm not entirely sure. Do you put soap on someone's windows?
Sure.
Is that a gag?
It doesn't sound like a good one.
I mean, I just don't know what...
I know exactly what you should do with those eggs, though.
Oh, man, yeah. You just crack them on someone's windshield and leave the shell. It's the most avant-garde form of egging that there is.
I was surprised he only had a half dozen eggs.
Yo, that's not nearly enough.
No.
He's taking after his older brother in that, he wants to... Except Brad throws, bricks at greenhouses.
Brad takes it a little too far. Randy's trying to rein it in.
Brad is all over the place this season. You got one episode, he looks like he's heading to juvie, and the next episode, he's dressed up as Raggedy Andy. It's a real potpourri.
Can we talk about what Randy's dressed up as?
You go ahead.
He's a pirate, so he's got, a little parrot on his shoulder. He's got an eye patch. But he's also showing a little bit of skin.
It's a sexy pirate, I guess. I don't know how else to say.
Belly button showing and everything. So
it's for the young ladies, I suppose. I mean, it definitely that's not something you do on accident, I didn't get
guess
it.
not.
I noticed it as well, and I thought, yikes.
Yeah, just a little risque for me, I guess. And Mark comes down too. We talked about him earlier. He is Tim the Toolman Taylor, so he's got his dad's get-up on from the show. Looks real adorable. He's got his hair slicked back.
Good costume.
And, yeah, I think he nailed it, really.
Tim also notes something that my parents often mentioned, and I assume all parents did, because maybe it's still kind of a thing, but, he says, hey, don't eat your candy until we've all had a chance to inspect it.
I don't remember that.
Really? I wouldn't, my parents wouldn't have let me take a bite of anything until they looked at it, because there used to be things where people were putting razor blades and stuff.
Yeah,
or,
I remember
candy
hearing
was
about
open
that.
and apples, and that was definitely something that rang true with me. So.
That didn't happen in the Belmead. We all looked out for each other.
I'm very certain that it did. I'm very certain that it did, and I think you just dodged a bullet.
Probably, my parents probably did, but I just wasn't.
Yeah.
I was more worried about the candy. I didn't care about anything else.
You can't even eat chocolate. So what?
I know. I didn't go out a lot of the time for it, but a lot of times people would trade me my Reese's for their Skittles or something. So
you were the only kid that was hoping to get a toothbrush or toothpaste or a penny.
please, anything but chocolate.
No Snickers bars, please. Jill comes back and she is dressed as a carrot, and there's a lot of carrot jokes. They lost her costume reservation. Again, costume reservation in quotes. I think unintentionally, this is a scary costume.
Yeah, I'm terrified. I would have nightmares of that carrot.
Yeah, I thought it was scary.
I also did like a lot of the carrot jokes.
Yeah, I don't know if I did, but we'll cover that. There's a guest that arrives, and Tony Topola noted it's Curtis, and Curtis isn't even being clever at this point with his burns. The writers really amped it up with this first Curtis line.
He's throwing daggers immediately.
Yeah, he's like, I like your costume. You can't even see how fat you are. And it's Curtis, come on.
Between this time and the last time we saw him, he's been working on a stand-up routine.
Curtis is not very tactful. Then Jill makes because Curtis is dressed as an atom, and she says, you're an atom, why don't you split?
Curtis got her, I think, in that exchange.
Yeah, Curtis won, Jill 0, if I'm keeping score. And I am.
And he will continue to win throughout this episode. We also, before Curtis arrives, there's 3 other people. I don't know why they yell trick or treat when the doors open.
Yeah, they're guests at the party.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So a devil, a ballerina, and then a bunny, and then Tim makes a joke that he doesn't like the way that the bunny's looking at that carrot.
Yeah.
I liked it.
That was funny. Yeah, that was funny.
So, let's see. The doorbell rings again, and Brad, he knows that it's Jennifer somehow. The first 2, he wasn't interested. But he comes down, he says he's going to get the door, and it's Jennifer.
I love this. I love this scene.
She's so sassy. The door opens, and she's a biker girl.
And she's supposed to be Raggedy Ann. So, I basically, I could not believe it.
She walks in with an attitude.
Oh my gosh.
That fits her costume. And she basically says, what does she say exactly here? I don't exactly remember. But
Brad says, I thought you were going to dress as Raggedy Ann. And she's like,
I changed my mind.
I know what you did. And she's just arms are crossed. She looks at him so mad, and she's just standing there leather clad with some stupid thing on. And then she steps in, and then it just guess we should finish the scene before I talk about the logistics of it. So she comes inside, and then Ryder Strong, who is her new boyfriend, apparently he comes in, and he's dressed as a biker too, and he's like, I'm with Jennifer now. And they're together, and all this romance has blossomed over the last couple of hours. And Brad is obviously sad because he lost his girlfriend. He dressed like an idiot, and Jennifer is she's committing the ultimate revenge.
She's so smug.
This is a bizarre scene for a lot of reasons. How do you even start? It's the kind of situation where
they're 12 or 13, right?
I would say 12 at the most. This is a situation for high schoolers or something. She is with this Danny, I guess is his name. She's with Danny now, and she just her entrance, they want you to forget that, like, somebody, like, a parent dropped them off in, like, a minivan and was like, I love you, and patted him on the head. But, like, yeah.
No, she rode Danny's motorcycle over.
Oh, my gosh. It's just, like, really strange. It's hard to do it justice unless you're seeing it, but just, like, I laughed so hard at this scene because we're supposed to take it seriously, I guess, but she's just, like, there, and, like, her and Brad are done, and she's got this new, bad boy boyfriend, and, it's just bad news for everybody, but it's also...
It's unbecoming of her.
It's also hilarious.
It is hilarious.
And Brad is so confused.
He's very confused. He doesn't know what he did, but also a fight breaks out because him and Danny have words and they start pushing each other, and Danny pushes him down and Tim comes and breaks up the fight and everything.
And this is where, this is another, like, if you're Tim and, like, this random guy shows up at the party and immediately, like, starts trouble with your son, you just kick him out. Like, you tell him to leave.
Yeah, he doesn't need to stay.
We don't know Danny. Like, Danny is there and he's immediately starting trouble, and it's like, get out. This is Brad's party. And Jennifer, if you want to leave too, by all means, since you seem to have replaced Brad, like, so willy-nilly with this Danny character, I don't know. I guess we should do credits for Danny. So Danny's played by Ryder Strong, 56 credits to his name, best known as Sean Hunter on Boy Meets World. He did 158 episodes. He was in 7 episodes of Girl Meets World, which was recently canceled. So, and in the film Cabin Fever and Cabin Fever 2. And I have a quote as well. This just happened to pop up, so I have a Ryder Strong quote as well. Ryder Strong, if I ever became a porn star, I won't have to change my name.
Thank goodness.
There you go.
Thank goodness for Ryder Strong.
That's a quote from Ryder Strong on his IMDb page. So
he plays Danny the bad boy, and he plays apparently a future porn star. So
this whole scene though, it just felt like something out of like a Saved by the Bell of the college years or something. Like they're just too young to be in this situation, but oh well.
Yeah, well, this is what happens when you start romance so soon, so early.
I suppose
Kids are growing up too fast, and
I'll tell you.
these days. So then I think Brad runs outside. His giant feet are like clopping all the way out, and to break a little bit of the tension, Curtis makes another joke. He says, "Why did Brad leave?" And they say because they don't like his costume, or his costume is bad or something. And then he says, "So when are you gonna leave, Jill?"
Got her.
So
also, around this time too, there's like a thing where Jill's costume is like stuck or whatever, she can't breathe. And I thought they were setting up that like she had something scary underneath her costume, and like she really did have a spooky Halloween costume, and that it was just setting up like eventually she was going to rip it open and scare Tim really bad. That does not happen.
Does not happen.
But I thought it would. I thought that was what they were going to do.
Yeah, that would have been a better way to go with it. I also was confused that, like, the whole episode, Tim does not have a costume on.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Also, his costume is not, like, one that you're going to be able to get at a costume store, either. No. It's, like, very much something that you just kind of piece together. Whatever. So, there's a good crowd at this party, though. And also kind of in keeping with the misreading of the children's age group, but it's like an adult party almost, in that like children are in small groups, like holding Dixie cups. Like they're not like all hanging out together. They're in separate parts of the house, just kind of talking in small circles. It doesn't seem like a 12-year-old party, at least the ones that I went to.
They're asking each other like, "So how's your job? Do you have kids?
How are the kids? Yeah. Did you see that special on Nightline? Things like that.
Yeah. They're just discussing the issues of the day. That's
right.
All. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little strange. There's no bobbing for apples. No. There's no any of that sort of stuff. I would expect at this kind of a party.
So the party is just a huge success to everyone except for Brad. Brad kind of storms outside. He's hanging out by the fence, and I kind of expected Wilson to come up and console Brad, but instead it's his father Tim, and they have a heart-to-heart. Brad wants to beat up Danny because he says he can't beat up Jennifer, although Tim says that he could take her. The two talk. It's a good Tim scene. Tim tells Brad to kind of retrace his steps. I guess that they realize that it has something to do with kickball, but they're not necessarily sure what. Brad says that he doesn't necessarily care what happened, but Tim, reminds him, "Hey, you do care. You're in this ridiculous costume. If you want to make this better, just go and talk to her and tell her that you understand. Just keep saying that you understand, and things will go better. Is that your understanding of the scene, Jordan?
Yeah, it sounds like what I was thinking happened.
Cool.
So they do go back inside. Tim is kind of listening into this conversation that's about to happen. Brad does take off the wig and the shoes, so he's a little bit less clownish, I would say. And, Jennifer right now, she's not really with her new boyfriend. She just looks bored.
She's catatonic almost. She's just staring forward. I don't know where Danny went to. He's probably smoking a spliff out back or something. But she is alone. And I think we're going to go ahead and play our final clip here. Is that right?
Yep.
Hi. Hello. I thought you were coming as Raggedy Ann. I was going to. I understand. Understand what? I understand you're mad at me.
Who wouldn't be? Kickball, you picked Elaine instead of me.
She's good. I wanted to win.
You embarrassed me. You should have seen Elaine. She was gloating.
Why didn't you just say something on the playground?
Bradley, how could you not know? You could be so dense.
Hey, I may be dense, but my team won.
Oh, don't start talking like that.
But I understand winning doesn't matter. I should have picked you.
I'm sorry I didn't come as Raggedy Ann.
Yeah, not as sorry as I am.
This is one of the funnier scenes, I think, in the episode, because the first time Brad says, I understand, it doesn't really, relate to anything.
At all.
And Tim is celebrating in the background, kind of, and then Jennifer says, understand what? And then Tim is like, I don't know, I can't help you. I thought that was I think that was probably one of the biggest laughs I've gotten in an episode we covered. I don't know why.
And I got a really big laugh out of the next thing that happens. So, as they're talking a little bit more about what actually happened, and Brad says Jennifer says Brad's dense, and he says, but my team won, and then Tim coughs out, don't start talking like that.
Yeah, you don't start talking like that.
Yeah. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it's funny, but, eventually Brad does stop being, because he's not helping his case here, really.
No, he just wanted to win, but he doesn't understand what he did. So.
Yeah, but Jennifer is sad because he picked Elaine, and Elaine was gloating. And I said, Elaine is really, Elaine doesn't know the trouble she's starting. I don't know.
Yeah, we should really she's a homewrecker, really.
She's a homewrecker. They make up, and Jennifer puts her biker hat on Brad, and that is a sign that all is well.
Yeah, that's love right there.
Home Improvement universe.
Oh man, that's reconciliation if I've ever seen it.
I'll say so. And I don't know what who knows what Danny's thoughts are in the whole thing, but it's
Danny was smoking. He's got other things to worry about.
Danny came in with his eyes all glazed over, and he's trying to.
Danny's thinking about Grease Lightning right now.
Danny's trying to sell some of these kids some marijuana that's described as grass or something, but. They head into the basement, and finally we get to see the
creepy catacomb.
The creepy catacomb, the intricate set. Jill takes the kids down there in a group, and from the get go, Danny is just not impressed. And Ryder Strong, I understand that he's playing a role here. Man, I could not stand him in this. His voice is just so nasally and annoying, and he's so smug and self-serving. But
he reminds me a lot of that bully from the bowling alley episode.
Yeah, a little bit. He's just younger, I guess, which probably makes it worse almost.
Yeah.
Danny's not impressed. He's saying things are stupid from the get-go. Mark pops out in the same mask from earlier, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Danny's like, "This is stupid. It's just his little brother. This
you
sucks.
Do a great Danny.
This sucks. I hate everything. My parents are divorced, and it has ruined my life. No one loves me." Danny's not impressed. Tim pops out as Nana Stein, which is...
They continue the mother-in-law jokes,
exactly
basically.
As it sounds. He horks up a maggot. Danny again says it's pathetic. Everybody else, kind of goes upstairs
Yeah, they're
reason.
scared because Nana wants a kiss and she runs after the kids.
But Danny is not afraid. He actually he descends further into the catacombs, and Danny's, it's pathetic. I've seen your show. It should be called Fool Time, which I thought it was surprising that no one's used the Fool Time joke yet, either on the show or on this show. I'm just surprised it never came up. So that's the one good thing Danny did was drop that Full Time line.
Mm-hmm.
And we just keep setting it up. Eventually, what's going to happen, but
check out the toolbox.
Tim, as Nana Stein says, yeah, check out the toolbox, and Danny's like, oh, so what, is a wrench going to pop out and hit me? It's like,
Danny's voice keeps getting different every time you do it.
I hope you fall over and bust your arm, kid. But he picks up the toolbox, and it's, what is it, Jordan?
It's a head. It's, Al with apparently vampire teeth.
Danny is really scared, though, and you can't see Al's
it's pretty good.
It's good. I mean, if you're a kid at
there's
someone's
blood,
basement,
there's fangs,
it's pretty scary.
You can't see legs, and it's kind of like a shorter thing, so he's probably jammed in there.
Yeah, Danny runs upstairs, presumably wets his pants, and
there's also a headless body that runs through the room.
I'm moving ahead. There's a headless body, and then Wilson pops out as a mummy and assaults Danny. He grabs him and
that would be the scariest part when you get grabbed. He might be
hurting him, he's really laying it on this kid pretty heavy. But after that, Danny runs upstairs and somehow
the kids came back down.
Yeah, they've come back down and they see the whole thing and
they start clapping
because everybody loves it when a bully gets his comeuppance.
Bam. I was wondering, Wilson as the mummy starts flying after he grabs Danny. I didn't know that mummies flew.
Oh, yeah, the scary ones do. Yeah.
Scary ones, yeah.
They're using those
ones that aren't scary.
They're using the pulleys from a few episodes back, and I'm just wondering, can we move past the pulleys? I'm tired of
the problem is you don't understand pulleys, so you don't like them.
Yeah, you always fear that which you don't understand. And that's it. I guess there's a scene afterwards, the aftermath, where Wilson and Al and Tim are kind of down there. And I was wondering, is this the first time Wilson and Al have ever spoken?
Yeah, I mean, Wilson says, nice working with you. I don't remember them being in the same scene together, so maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Tim leaves Al down there, which is mean. And Al says that they're spiders, and Tim says they're joke spiders, but there's actually a real tarantula. And I was hoping you could explain that to me.
I just wrote that I didn't know that tarantulas are native to Michigan. So either this tarantula got out of a zoo or something and somehow ended up in the Taylor basement, or there's no other explanation really.
Al is scared by the tarantula, rightfully so.
Yeah, I would be too.
And
but if you've seen Jungle to Jungle, you just got to be quiet.
I've seen that. Upwards of 3 times. So yeah, I get it. After this final scene, there are some bloopers of the scene that we just saw, and then the final image is what I want to talk about. It's a graphic of a skull that very briefly just says boo boo. It's like in Fight Club where they will splice. It's a bad example, but in Fight Club the movie they'll splice pornography kind of within the film, and you only see it, it's really quick flash of it. This was that. The mummy was I had to pause it just to make sure what it was, but it's a very cheesy mummy going, or not a mummy, a very cheesy skeleton going boo, and then we roll credits.
Yeah, they really nailed it with that skeleton. So I don't. There's as much explanation for that skeleton as there is for that tarantula. So
show, and that is the haunting of a Taylor house. Our first Halloween app. Jordan, what'd you think of it?
I actually thought it was, a pretty strong episode, especially for this season. We've seen some not great ones besides the last episode we covered. As I said, I did enjoy the carrot jokes more than I probably should have. The fact that she had that as a costume, the girl dressed as a bunny, trying to, eyeing her as some sort of treat. And as you said, I didn't understand why there was so much drama for these 12-year-olds. It was a little confusing.
It was very, very melodramatic.
But that was really the only super confusing part to me. The rest of it was fine. So I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was fun.
I liked this one as well. I liked it more the second watch than the first. The first watch I thought pretty good. The second one, the jokes really landed. And this is an episode that is built around just some really good one-liners from Tim. And even the stuff that was so Jennifer arriving with like this new boyfriend and her like and them both wearing like leather. Even that stuff, like that to me was funny, even though it's like unintentionally so. That kind of added to my overall enjoyment.
I was gonna say that probably made us like it more when that was,
because it's just like so stupid. But to me, I don't know. I just enjoyed that. I thought the scene at the end, like I liked seeing the haunted house in the basement. I thought that was well done. Good special effects there. The overall structure was good. I think there wasn't the fighting between Tim and Jill. That was nice. You had Curtis, you had Al, you had Wilson, you had a whole cast of characters, and yeah, it was a good time. Complaint, I would have liked to have seen Mark and Randy kind of be more part of the action at the party, but what are you going to do?
They were preparing for their acting roles downstairs, so...
Yeah, JTT was trying to lure some girls with his seductive pirate costume.
I hope not. So yeah, I don't know. Good episode. Two decent episodes back to back, which is always good.
Yeah,
so.
we've as we've noted, been kind of a dull second season up till now. So yeah, we've enjoyed the last two.
Yeah, this next segment though is not going to be dull.
I'll say so.
Let's get into the mailbag.
You've got mail.
All right, Jordan. So I ripped open the mailbag, and within the masses of letters and messages, we got an email from Mortimer Jackson. And Mortimer writes, "Hey guys, with The Haunting of a Taylor House up next, I was hoping you two could tell me what type of Halloween candy you think best describes each character on Home Improvement." So Jordan, what do you think? Can we help Mortimer out?
Yeah, I think we got some answers for this. So I guess
we've not talked about this, so I don't know what you're gonna say. Who do you want?
Could be.
We did Randy, Brad, Mark, Tim, Jill, Al, Wilson, correct?
Yeah, I did all the main characters in the show. So.
All right, so you pick who goes first, and then we'll kind of alternate. So Halloween candy that describes each person on the show. It was hard. I thought it was quite hard.
Yeah, it took a little bit more.
Mortimer's not, he's not making it easy for us. That's classic Mortimer, though.
Yeah, it is. Mortimer just does that. And I had to Google like some different candies, try to find something out of the box, because all the normal ones were not seeming to fit these characters for me. So I'm going to start with Tim. I'll start with the patriarch of the family. I picked Sour Patch Kids because often he does something stupid, but then he redeems himself. So first he's sour, then he's sweet.
All right, so for Tim, I said Sugar Daddy. Because it's my understanding that Tim is the sole he's the sole provider of the family, and therefore he's providing for everyone. And I mean no disrespect to Jill, because I know she'll get a job later on, but for the time being, Tim Tim's bringing in the bacon. So
that's nice. That's good.
Tim was hard, actually, though. I thought harder than I thought it would be.
I didn't. Sour Patch Kids came to me pretty early, so I thought that fit, but. Yeah. I'll go with Jill next. She is a chocolate truffle because she's sophisticated with her tastes in art and opera. She's fancy. She's not like any of that boring chocolate.
It's way better than mine. This was the hard one for me. For Jill, I said Jelly Bean because it's alliterative. Jill, Jelly Bean, and there's no other reasoning other than that. So let's just move on.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah.
So you want to go next? You want to do back to back after that?
Yeah, okay. So let's do the kids. So for Randy, I said Butterfinger because he can't catch a football and he has fumbling troubles and he's very unathletic.
Oh, poor guy. I said Laffy Taffy because the kid got jokes.
Okay, good. Brad, I said Atomic Fireball because he has such a temper. He argued with his dad so much a few episodes back. And in this one, he pushed Danny down, right away. So it doesn't take much for Brad to kind of fly off the hinges.
Yeah, I kind of said something similar. I said Pop Rocks because, like, he's just, he's going out of control. He's going into puberty. Lots of changes are going on, and
I think that's the worst one you've had.
Pop Rocks? Why not? They pop in your mouth. They're noisy. They're causing a ruckus. Why not?
Sure. All right. So for Mark, this one's actually pretty lame too. Mark, I have two. I couldn't decide.
I have two too.
Okay, maybe there's some carryover here. I said Milk Dud because he's just kind of a dud and sort of faulty and boring. And then I also put Dum Dums because...
Oh, those are the same two that I put.
Really? Milk Dud and Dum Dums?
Yeah, I put Milk Dud Sucker, or Milk Duds and then Dum Dum Suckers.
That's hilarious.
He's clueless.
Clueless, he doesn't get anything. That's funny. Yeah.
Poor Mark.
And then you want to do the last two?
Yeah, so Wilson, I put Smarties because that dude knows everything.
That is better than mine. I put Werther's, like the
Oh, yeah.
because he's a weird older person, and I feel like older people always have like those kind of things. Just kind of Werther's, just
Yeah, they just keep them in their purse or in a candy dish, and they're always trying to give you some, and I'm like, no, I don't like Werther's.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Back off, Wilson.
If you take one Werther, you got to take it for like years, because there comes an expectation when you take a Werther's that you're always going to want a Werther's. That's my experience.
Yeah. So stay away from Werther's.
So don't take it. Yeah.
It's a slippery slope.
PSA. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So last but not least, we got Al. I said candy hearts, like the ones that say like "Be Mine," because he's jonesing for some love.
For sure. I said crybaby, because he's just he's just crying. He's a wimp, and he's very like emotional and sad. So.
That's pretty good. I don't know why you hated on my Pop Rocks so much, but
I think
Jelly Bean.
Just hearing you kind of rationalize it was I don't know. They're changing, and they're they're kind of bouncing around and moving, and they're volatile, and
it's better than Jelly Beans for
sure.
Jill.
Yeah, well, I also didn't try to justify Jelly Bean. I just sort of left it as it was, but I think it turned out well, and very few crossovers, so that's good. Thank you, Mortimer, for that
great
question.
Mortimer.
It's a really good question, Mortimer. So.
I like to call him Morty.
Yeah, well, he likes it when you call him that too. So, Jordan, if the folks want to get in touch with us, how do they do so?
Yeah, if you want to reach out like Mortimer did, you can email us at homeimpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/homeimpodcast. Twitter, our handle is at homeimpodcast. Our website, thehomeimpodcast.com. We're always looking for donations. You can donate as little as $1. We would be appreciative of anything and everything to help us run this stuff. You can do so at our website, or you can go to patreon.com/homeimpodcast.
Social media? Did you cover that?
I did cover social media.
Okay, good. All right. Well,
any Twitter polls, you weirdo?
Yeah. There's a Twitter poll. So last week's episode, we had a bunch of tentative polls, and I said that if they changed a lot, I would cover them. They did change a lot, but it's been too long. We ended up getting like 50 votes per. So if you want to look at those, by all means, please do so. But we do have a more recent poll. And this is who would be the best match for Karen. Last episode, Karen was getting set up. The options were Satan, Al, or Ernest Borgnine, and we got 30 votes. So again, we're getting quite a few votes, which is great. And Ernest Borgnine had 20%, and then Al and Satan both tied at 40%. So it's really hard. Yeah, who knew? So
wow, people don't like Karen.
People see Karen going in one of two ways. Either she lives like a nice, comfortable life with a sentimental man named Al, or she goes
straight to hell.
To hell in fire and brimstone with Satan. So we're of two minds, I would say. So,
Poor Karen.
Poor Karen. So that's Twitter, and again, we're always trying to update that, and correspond with us, get in touch with us, and support us.
Rate and review us and all that good stuff. So with the candy question out of the way and the social media out of the way, I guess that leads us into your question of the week.
Sure does. All right, Jordan, so we actually just talked about candy. This is a bit repetitive, but keep it simple because we're going a little long here. What kind of Halloween candy or what kind of candy do you like? And I don't, maybe you don't love candy, but if you had to choose a kind of candy, what's your go-to?
Oh, go-to. Well, every year in my stocking, I get Swedish Fish, regardless of whether I want it or not, because that was my favorite for a long time. Twizzlers are good, Skittles are good. I used to be allergic to basically which is why I didn't go out for Halloween. So no chocolate, no peanuts. But now I love chocolate and I'm not allergic to it. So any sort of chocolate's delicious.
You're not allergic to chocolate anymore?
No. I grew out of that.
How's that happen?
I grew out a lot of them. I used to be allergic to beef, and I love beef. So some of that stuff I grew out of. I'm still allergic to nuts, so I draw the line there. But I like a good Hershey's bar.
Then how do you record with me? Okay, good.
What about you? What's your?
Not a big candy guy.
No.
Really, I guess I like the Swedish Fish and I like the Sour Patch Kids, and I like a blow pop. I like a sucker. I enjoy a good sucker. I
used to love those foot-long ropes of licorice that you'd get at baseball.
Yeah, those are good. But I don't really have a taste for I certainly have like my vices in terms of eating, but candy is not really one of them. I'm more of a carb guy,
Yeah, I used to have a lot more candy when I was younger. Now, like, if I'm gonna eat something sweet with sugar, it's gonna be like cheesecake.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Well, Jordan, that concludes our our Halloween spooktacular spook fest. Spook Factory. Haunting of a Taylor House. What are we covering next week?
Yeah, so next is going to be Roomy for Improvement.
That sounds
always good when you use the name of the show in the title.
Yeah, it is.
Or at least part of it. So,
yeah. Well, it probably won't be as fun as this one, but we'll look forward to it nonetheless. So, Jordan, I hope you're able to sleep tonight after watching and talking about this episode.
I hope so too. I'm going to be dreaming about Raggedy Ann.
Gross.
It's terrifying.
All right. Well, thanks, Jordan, for talking to me today. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And I guess I should say take care. And I think Dracula would like to as well. So take care. I can't do it. Take care. Please take care.
Take care.